All right, Black is Back Coalition's 7th Electoral Campaign School. And here it is with our address, LUI, Post Office Box 2181, Slidell, Louisiana United States, Louisiana, 985-503-0626. And of course, our websites, info at launitedi.org or launitedi.org. Next slide, please. Louisiana United International Incorporated is a civil and constitutional and human rights organization, especially committed to eliminating unlawful discrimination in the state of Louisiana. Should be in the whole United States. That includes all forms of illegal, but wherever we go, it's the same fight. No matter what we do, it's the same aggressive enemy, colonialism in its most brutal form. That includes all forms of illegal bias against Louisiana residents, including those historically protected, as well as the nouveau repressed. LUI is a nonprofit membership-based organization presently operated on an all-volunteer basis. That's just like the struggle that we're all in. It's not about getting paid. It is a volunteerism projection. The organization, its leaders, and other active members work diligently to combat and expose public sector corruption with Louisiana, as if they don't know that they're already corrupt. But we must continue to expose. That work regularly calls for an in-depth research and investigations, as well as statewide, national, and even international outreach, all under the leadership of Ms. Belinda Parker-Brown, who is the CEO and founder of LUI. Next slide. This is the case of Ronald Green. In Ronald Green's death, you see that's his mother, a mother's defiant quest for the truth. Mona Hardin holds the boxed ashes of her son, Ronald Green. This is on Saturday, December 4th, 2021. Now, mind you, he died May the 10th of 2019. In Orlando, Florida, Hardin is haunted by the body camera images of her son being punched, stunned, and dragged by Louisiana State Police. This is just so often and every day, no matter where you go. This is going on, even the things that we don't even know about, but we all know this, by Louisiana State Police. She holds tightly to her son's cremated remains and says she won't be able to put him to rest until she gets justice. And we'll get into that too. After a more than 2-year federal probe, still none of the officers involved has been charged, although one did commit suicide. Orlando, Florida, this came from the AP. Mona Hardin calls it her walking nightmare. She's haunted by the body camera images of her son, Ronald Green, being punched, stunned, and dragged by Louisiana State Police. And she's enraged that troopers initially tried to explain away the Black man's 2019 death as a result of a car crash. She holds tightly to her son's cremated remains and says she won't be able to put him to rest until she gets justice. Now, you always notice it's our fault that we get killed in most instances that we see by this imperialist criminal. Next slide, please. Black State Trooper Carl Cavalier in Louisiana faces termination after accusing colleagues of murder, the death of Ronald Green, and an alleged internal cover-up, says he was notified he will be fired. 2 troopers involved in the incident were reprimanded for their actions that night including for not allowing procedures for body worn cameras. A third was to be terminated for violations regarding body worn camera and car camera systems, use of force, performance, lawful orders, and for conduct unbecoming an officer. Well, how often does that happen? That trooper died. That was the one that died in a car crash before he could be fired, according to LSP Superintendent Colonel Lamar Davis. Perhaps he was going to spill more beans. It's a lot that they do to themselves in a cover-up. Shortly after the release of the video, Cavalier spoke with WBRZ, saying he believes that there needs to be arrest, including of the former agency head. Cavalier said that the individuals went unpunished and are still prohibiting the street performing on the streets. Cavalier told CNN he received a termination letter just last week at that time from State Police Superintendent Lamar Davis. This is a petty bourgeoisie neo-colonizer, Lamar Davis. They always send one of us to address one of us on their behalf. The buffer. The letter, which he shared with CNN, says an investigation found Cavalier violated department policies and procedures. In other words, you spoke out of turn. In other words, you should have kept your mouth closed. In other words, you should just be grateful that you have some work to do yourself. Negro. The internal investigation, you don't have a spirit, or you don't have a heart, you don't have a soul, you don't have a conscience. You, as Comrade Sister Betty Davis says, you thingify. According to the letter, claims that Cavalier violated department's policy on public statement, lawful orders, loyalty to the department, boy. Dissemination of information, seeking publicity. Now here it is. I want to get out here. I'm going to show everybody, make a name for myself, because this is something that everybody needs to know, even though I know the consequences of me speaking out. But I wanted to make a name for myself. What a fool to stop. Seeking publicity and conduct unbecoming an officer. Cavalier, who is Black, filed a lawsuit in September against LSP. Now, mind you, this is back in 21, I'm sorry, where he alleges his complaints, and they went ignored, and several of his superiors racially discriminated against him for years. Of course they did. The good old boy criminal crime enterprise. Next slide, please. June 1st, 2022, Louisiana governor agrees to testify in Ronald Greene's probe. Governor John Bell Edwards agreed on Wednesday to a request from Louisiana lawmakers that he and his top attorneys testify before a bipartisan committee investigating allegations of a cover-up in the deadly 2019 murder of Black motorist Ronald Greene. Now, mind you, this is John Bell Edwards, the governor. He agrees now to have everything released, but knew all along about what was going on from day one. We're going into the cover-up. June 3rd, 2022, no excuse to withhold deadly arrest video, the governor says. That's a joke. Louisiana Governor John Bell Edwards said there was no excuse for a video he watched of the deadly arrest of Black motorist Ronald Greene, failing to reach prosecutors for another 6 months, but he maintained he couldn't have known at the time that the footage had not already been turned over. So he knew nothing about nothing that led to nothing that he knew. He lied. June 9th, 2022, Justice Department opens probe into Louisiana State Police. And we're talking about June 9th, 2022. Here we are. We're in April 2023. Baton Rouge, Louisiana, the AP specifies. United States Justice Department is opening a sweeping civil rights investigation into the Louisiana State Police amid mounting evidence that the agency has a pattern of looking the other way in the face of beatings of mostly Black men, including the deadly 2019 arrest of Ronald Green. Now, mind you, everybody up in the United States government is hollering guns, 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 crimes, crime, crime, and they point the finger always. This is perpetual in the Black community, no different than what this thing called Biden, as the chairman specified some time ago, did in the Black community under the Clinton administration with the crime bill. Put 100,000 cops on the street. And Kamala Harris, DA of California, had thousands of Black people arrested. Next slide, please. Hello? Oh, here we go. November 14, 2022. Louisiana grand jury convenes in Black man's deadly arrest. Farmerville, Louisiana. Louisiana grand jury began hearing evidence Monday in the deadly 2019 arrest of Ronald Green. Long-awaited testimony that will determine whether state charges are to be brought against the white troopers seen on the body camera video stunning, striking, and dragging the Black motorist by his ankle shackles, following a high-speed chase. When you looked at the video, and I know that all of us have, it was a sport to them. It was a game to them. It was a joke to them. It was fun. March 22nd, 2023, accusations of racial bias. Dog prosecutor, that's the prosecutor right there, in the Ronald Green case. Farmerville, Louisiana. In this conservative corner of northern Louisiana, where reverence for law enforcement runs deep and Blue Lives Matter flags often fly alongside the stars and stripes, the case of 5 white officers charged in the deadly 2019 arrest murder of Black motorist Ronald Green is seen as anything but a slam dunk. These are things, I think that ends the slide presentation. In conclusion, I'm going to give this, I'm not concluding, but I'll state it this way. Post Office Box 2181, this is the address. This is our address for Louisiana United International, Slidell, Louisiana, United States, of course, Louisiana, 985-503-0626. And then, of course, info@launitedi.org. Of course, launitedi.org is the website. Well, we'll say it this way. How many times do we have to keep hearing this and then allow them to tell us that we're going to get to the conclusion? To have nobody, even the crime incorporated governor, no different than Biden, no different than Obama, no different than any president, to make us want to tear away from a system that is not doing us justice. How many and how long do we go begging for the release of our political inmate prisoners, and go nowhere just to be told, Lucretia, we're going to deny an appeal by Momia. This is our whole lives. Don't you know it is time to organize, to bring even more in? Take on new blood. take on new blood that are genius. Just like I talked about the two young men in Tennessee, I'm almost done, who really want to fall into a system, and they're geniuses, that does not love them, acknowledge that they don't love them, but no other system that they should run to. These are the brothers we need to be dragging in. Because you know what? We're winning. But I believe we can win even more. Sometimes we have to go to the mountain. Ooh.